This podcast was brought to you by Outsider. Check us out at www.outsider.com. Outsider is an outdoor lifestyle brand owned and operated by me, retired Navy SEAL Sam Mackey, and my dear friend and former NFL quarterback Jay Cutler. At Outsider, we encourage everyone to get outside and enjoy all that life has to offer. Head over to outsider.com to check out our unique patent-pending drinkware. Outsider's drinkware can be customized with your personal or business logo. Go to outsider.com, upload your logo, and we will send you visual proofs and great wholesale pricing. And don't forget, get outside and enjoy all that life has to offer. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the next episode of the Take It Outside podcast. I'm your host, Sam Mackey, with my co-host. You forgot the name, didn't you? Smokey J. Cutler. Today, we have a very special guest on. I think I say that every time, but I don't want to dilute the word special, but he is a special human being in his own right. Zachary Bell, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Sorry, I was trying to help out where I could. No, dude, I'm excited to be here. It's great.
Yeah.
There aren't enough male podcasts, and it's
there
time
a lot,
we had a voice.
Is there a lot of female ones?
Well, there's only a few, but there's definitely there's definitely not enough white male podcasts.
Oh, take her easy.
No, I love it. People always ask me why I started doing this stuff, and I was like, it's time we really put a podcast out there. But
How's that going for you?
You know, it's fun. It's fun. You do stuff like this. I mean, it beats selling insurance.
Yeah,
you know,
I suppose.
Which isn't bad, but I'm grateful.
Good. So, Veteran with the Sign is your
sir.
Instagram handle. We'll get into that here in a bit. But let's just back it all up to week one, day one. So where are you from?
I'm from Memphis, Tennessee.
Really?
Yes. Yes. So I'm so scrappy.
Yeah. It's a scrappy little town.
It is. 70% of the crime in the state comes from West Tennessee.
No shit.
Yeah.
Well,
the second you hit Jackson, it just turns.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, my buddy.
It's not a place you want to visit.
No, you just keep moving.
Just keep on going.
I've been there. I've dabbled.
No, I was chased by a crackhead who broke his crack pipe when I was like 10 years old. He broke the pipe and it exploded, and he chased me in a parking lot. Once, yeah.
There we go.
That's a rough Memphis streets for you.
Yeah, I was just a child.
What were you doing in a parking garage by yourself?
No, so my mom had just started dating my stepdad at the time, and he owned an auto shop, and I was moving tires. There was no luxury associated with being his stepson. So everyone's like, oh, you got the easy. I literally just did hard manual labor. And one of the jobs I had to do once a week was take all the old tires and then move them into this guy's truck. This old man who would what is it called? He'd scrap it.
Yeah.
And I'm chucking these tires, and then this dude jumps over this fence and looks at me and runs at me like the guy from 28 Days Later. And I ran around the corner, and they held him down till the cops came. They're like, yeah, he broke a crack pipe.
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, cool, I'm 10. Yeah.
So did you live downtown Memphis on the outskirts?
So I actually lived many different places. My parents got divorced when I was really young. So we bounced around, but pretty much all the worst parts of it, Raleigh, Frazier, places like that. You would even see 3-6 Mafia. You'd see them selling tapes out of the back of their car back in the day. Different corners. Little White would walk around with 2 pit bulls and stuff. It was crazy.
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of liked them growing up.
No, they're great. It's just they were something that was this secret in Memphis for such a long time. And then when they came in 2000s, when they came and filmed Hustle and Flow in Memphis, that was a big deal. I think they also filmed part of what's the Johnny Cash movie? Cash? No, the one with Joaquin.
Walk the Line.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was nice. So there was a lot of stuff happening then, but it's just kind of a dead town is the best way to describe it. There's just not opportunity. That's all there is to it.
You had a nice hotel there with the Peabody.
Peabody's cool. They have the guy who walks out the ducks.
Yep.
And that's
I don't know about this.
Yeah. He marches ducks through the hotel.
So there's no real reason to go to Memphis. I mean, honestly, it's
just a duck wrangler at the
hotel?
hotel?
I'm here. That's how much I love the town. I can't stress that enough. That's why I enlisted.
So enlisted in the Marine Corps, what age?
So I graduated high school. I was about to turn 19, so 18, 19.
Where did you apply to any colleges?
I did. I went to college for a semester
Which
at the
one?
at the University of Memphis.
Okay.
It didn't go great. Yeah, it wasn't Vanderbilt. You know what I'm saying?
It's a close second. It's in the same state.
No, it is in the same state. Yeah. No, I had a 1.67 when I left that semester. Yeah.
It's impressive. I mean,
I think I spelled my name wrong.
yeah. Hard to
It was gnarly. I didn't even take a full semester of class. I took 12 hours, and like halfway through I decided to enlist, and I withdrew from as many classes as I could. Some they wouldn't let me withdraw, and I was like, I'm not going.
yeah.
What was your recruiting process like? Did you run into the Marines giving Toys for Tots in the mall? Did you walk in the recruiting station? Did they come to your college? How'd that work?
No, my uncle was in the Marines in the first Gulf War, so that was like really cemented in my mind. That was pretty cool. And if you look back on like all the clips from the first Gulf War, like it was like sponsored by Taco Bell, which is weird. They'd be like, the troops are coming home, sponsored by Taco Bell, and there's like parades and stuff. There's like really weird clips when you look back on it now. But
Really?
it's why I like chocolate chip camouflage the most, because like it's the first one to like imprint in my head.
What's chocolate chip camouflage?
It's
hard
an
to
old
describe.
desert pattern that
I'm looking this up.
looks like
Look
a
it up.
chocolate chip cookie.
Really?
Yeah, now the only people I've actually seen wear it would be our Iraqi partner force when we were overseas once.
Yeah,
They had it. I think I have some at my house. I think I traded a uniform for some.
it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's actually a pretty cool pattern. I have one of the Whoopie hoodies in it. Mm-hmm. Love it.
What's a Whoopie hoodie?
Yeah.
Just the
Poncho liner?
Poncho liner hoodie.
Gotcha.
That's what the Army calls it.
Whoopie hoodie?
Well, the poncho liners, they call them whoobies.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know that till like a few years ago. It's a good pattern. I like it.
Yeah. I think I have a full set at my house in the attic somewhere. So, joined the Marine Corps at 19.
Yeah.
You just
Stupid.
walked in the recruiter's office and said, I want to be a infantry soldier. What do they call in the Marine Corps? Infantry?
Heroes. I said I want to be him, and they go this way. No, I should have looked at other branches. The Army was throwing out $30,000 at that time. Just they're like, how good are you at breathing? And I was like, no, but their uniforms look like absolute trash. I'm gonna try not to swear, right? No swearing.
No, you're good.
You can swear.
It's the
They
internet.
look like absolute ass. Do you know what I'm talking about? It was
So
the
let me get this straight. You picked which branch based off of the camo?
looking back on it, Mr. Cutler, I can see why you got into Vanderbilt and I got into Memphis. No, well, like that's part of it. You think I do? I do think about it. The Marines look awesome. Dude, I never.
The recruiting commercials where he slays a dragon in the Marine Corps.
Sick ass uniform.
Yeah.
Like you don't.
I think he's just coming to realization that this is how he picked which one to go
I gotta go talk to my wife after this. We've got to. Do I pick stuff based on clothes? She'd be like, yeah, your whole life. It's the dumbest thing about you. No, so but like the Army, I don't know. The Army's so big and the Marine Corps so selective. I didn't know anything really about, the Navy stuff, especially with there's like 3 jobs you can pick. Otherwise, you're a gunner's mate, a corpsman, or whatever. Because there's SWIC, SEALs, and like EOD.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to I'm like, well, I don't want to like wash out and like wind up like digging bombs out of the ground in Afghanistan.
That's what they say. The hardest part of EOD school is the first 3 weeks of buds. I didn't make that joke up. It's just a fact.
That's funny. Well, the rest of them become corpsmen.
Yeah.
But the Marine Corps, I was like, I'll do this. There's other things that influenced it. Live Leak, the website, had a bunch of like dudes with really horrible taste in music, like making like moto videos in like Fallujah, and it's like click, click, boom, and they're like throwing grenades and stuff. And so that probably recruited me a little bit, but I just went in there and I was like, hey, I want to be an infantry rifleman, and they're like, well, you can do this, this, and this, and I was like, negative. This is what I want to do. And they're like, well, you kind of do this stuff and that. And I'm like, no, you don't. I'm just doing this. Like, put me down that line. And they gave me the contract of infantry field. So in the Marine Corps, I don't know if it's everywhere, you pick a field and then there's like MOSs that you get to like apply for afterwards. in your MOS school.
What's MOS?
Military occupational skill. Or
Your job.
specialty.
Gotcha.
Is your job.
So there's subsidiary MOSs under infantrymen?
So the way it works is you pick infantry, you go through boot camp, and then you get kicked off to SOI, the School of Infantry. And they put you in this like like this auditorium, and they're like, okay, you're going to get like an intro from each guy, and they're going to tell you which one you want to do. And the first guy comes out and goes, I'm an 0351, I'm an assaultman. You want to shoot rockets and blow stuff up, pick this MOS, be a man. And it was like, rah, rah, rah. It's like, I'm an 0341 mortarman. You want to play spades and drop mortars, pick this MOS, rah, rah, rah. Cool. And 0331 machine gunner. You want to kill the enemy from a click away, pick this, and rah, rah. And this one guy comes out, and he's a sergeant. He stops, he pops open a can of Copenhagen, puts a dip in, he goes, you want to be in charge of these fucking idiots? Pick 0311. and I was like, I wrote 0311 3 times, and I was like, here you go. And then they sent me to my like class after that.
What
And
class?
then you break off to like a cohort, and they teach you the job, but you don't learn anything in your school. You learn it in your unit.
Yeah.
You're just like, this is how you do this. This is how you sit in the defensive position, and then you go to your unit and do your workup.
So all small unit tactics type stuff?
That's really where it comes in the unit.
Okay.
Right? Because you don't know where you're going to land, because there's like, I think there were 60 of us that got dropped to 1st Battalion, 6 Marines, and it was like a draft. They literally picked us up, and they're like, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie. And all my friends went to Bravo, and I went to Alpha. And they're like, go over there. And then you go to Alpha, and then they go 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 1st, 2nd, 3rd. Like there's no real rhyme or reason to it. And I wound up in Alpha Company.
Where'd you go to boot camp?
Parris Island.
Ooh. And was the one in San Diego around back then?
If you're west of the Mississippi, you go there.
Okay.
Or I mean east and west. That's how they divide it.
Gotcha.
So there's a few exceptions based on like space, but like I went to Parris Island.
Where's Parris Island?
South Carolina. Hilton Head.
Yep.
Really nice place except for that one spot. Yeah. It's pretty cool. You know, it's like it's literally like the movies in the sense of like what was that movie?
Full Metal Jacket?
Yeah.
You're wearing the shirt.
I know. No, I'm not. I'm not wearing the shirt. I don't want to get a copyright strike from like Warner Brothers or whoever. But like there's really like a lot of like theatrics to it, and people take it really, really seriously.
I feel like you weren't one of those people.
No, sir. No, sir. I was not. Because the goal was to make you graduate. The goal was to make a product, right? And they're investing in you they're not like trying to break you down. It hurts them if you wash.
Yeah.
So like I always had it in the back of my mind, but like there was a dude who's like in his 30s, and I was 18, and he was just enlisting, which is crazy. That's crazy work.
He was enlisting at 30?
Yeah. And he's like from the
What year was it with you?
07.
Okay.
So, I mean, the war was popping.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah.
It was. I was like ready to get out there, but I remember one time they got in his face, and he was heavier, and the drill instructors were like, you're fucking pathetic. You know that recruit? And he goes, yes, sir, this recruit's pathetic. And he like started bawling and like fell apart, and I was just like, I couldn't believe that he fell for like the games of it, because they were like. He's like, where's your wife right now? Where's she at? She's back home, sir. Oh, you know, she's hooking up with Jody. That's what they call the guys back home. And he's like, yes, sir, this recruit's wife's hooking up with Jody. And I was like, dude, don't give him that. Like, don't give up that stuff. And he just collapsed. Like, he folded. And he's like, oh. He's like, you're pathetic. I wish your daddy would. I can't say the rest of it. But he's like, your daddy must be ashamed of you. And, like, I just started laughing at one point. And when I laughed, I just got cracked on the side of the head. Because we're all like this, at position of a... They were doing a hygiene inspection. So you're in some, like, BVDs underwear. And they're, like, looking at your nails. And they're like, you pig. You know, and they're like...
What are BVDs?
I can't remember what it stands for, but whitey tighties.
Okay.
Like you're in like whitey. You guys were probably just getting your nails manicured and they're giving you kisses like, go to sleep, babies.
That only happens after you take your feet out of that hot water.
Yeah.
Before they start cutting and scrubbing.
They're like, you're going to get a book deal. You're going to. It's going to be good.
Just prepping the environment. That's what they were doing.
Sam, you're going to run an outdoor brand. I tell you, it's going to be great. But yeah, it was weird. It's weird looking back on it now. Is probably the best way I think to say it. Because I have these photos of me, and I was blind as a bat. Like I couldn't see from here without glasses, and I got surgery when I was in, but I had the the birth control glasses, and brother, it was rough work.
So you graduate boot camp, you go to infantry school, then you land in a battalion.
First time 6 Marines, yeah.
And then do a workup with them before you deploy?
Yeah, what was interesting was the whole time they were like, you're going to the Mediterranean, which is a curse when you're in the infantry. To hear that you're going to miss the war, it's like never being able to play a game. You're just like JV forever. And they call you a boot, which is not a great term because you're fresh out of boot camp, you've never deployed, and everyone else had been to like Fallujah, Ramadi. You're like, please, Lord, let this change.
We're in the Mediterranean.
It was going to be a MEU. Like we were just going to float out there. Yeah, just a booze cruise, right? Yeah. Because it's just a base on wheels and you go to port.
What's MEU stand for?
Marine Expeditionary Unit.
Okay.
So traditionally they're like for peacekeeping missions and like a QRF, a quick reaction force to like floods or any type of international incident. But really they're just us maintaining our presence all over the globe, right? So if something happens, we're there in a day or less. And I did not. We were on a ship for like a month. That was not great because we're Marines, and you know this too. If you don't have a job on a ship, everyone hates you because they have real jobs. And so I was like in a coffin rack on the very bottom.
How long were you on a ship?
30 days, longest 30 days ever.
Oof.
It sucked because we're just in berthing areas, and I'm like trying to read a book. And like I would put it on my stomach, but to turn the page, there was so little space. I had to flip it down like this to turn the page and then prop it back up. And I was like, I really wanted to be funny in high school. This is where I'm at now. This is just me reading. There's no iPods. There's none of that stuff yet. There's no like internet, Wi-Fi. And
So you guys were just on the boat for a month,
just a month, like training to like get accustomed to like how we would live with the ship as they're like out to sea and doing like all the functions to make a naval vessel work, right? Okay. Which is mainly just them yelling at us.
Yeah.
Like I walked into like this place called the Chief's Mess. Which is a bunch of E7s, so they're higher ranking. And I had no idea, and they were all like screaming, and it was like a big deal. And I literally was just like, dude, chill. And I just like walked back out. I had no idea.
So making E7 in the Navy, that's a big milestone, right? And you're a chief, and then there's senior chief, and then master chief. And they have what's called the Chief's Mess. And they're everything from there's Chief's Mess on bases where it's like a bar and a restaurant. Then there's Chief's Mess in each building, and then there's on each ship, and you can't go in them unless you're an E7 or above. And then it's a very coveted spot.
You can basically retire,
no one in
right?
the teams gives a fuck about them, right? Because we all work with each other, all the time, regardless. But if you're in a normal Navy environment and you're not an E7, you go in there, people lose their fucking minds.
Yeah, and they have coffee cups they never wash out, which is disgusting as a tradition, but that's a thing. They never wash out their coffee cups. I found that out.
I think that just...
Really? I think it's an old tradition, but like...
Is it?
I don't know. It was rough. It was rough. It was like looking into a volcano, some of those things. I just remember like walking in, so I was trying to find the chow hall for like midnight rats or something, and they're like, you can't be here. They were like, really? And I was like, dude, chill. And I just like bounced. They're like, what unit are you in? I was like, nope. Just kept going. No. What's your name? Smith. Have fun with that. But they ended up in 08, so they're like, we're getting ready to push out in February. And at that time, my wife was pregnant with our first child. And then at the last minute, they're like, nah, you're going to Afghanistan. Oh. Yeah. And so I came back here where my daughter was born at Baptist when it was called Baptist, Baby Factory Baptist. And what was it? She was born, and 2 days later, I was on my way to Afghanistan.
Were you living in Nashville at the time?
No, we moved her back so my wife could be here with her family because she's from Franklin, which is why I specifically moved here over Memphis. Like that was
tough choice.
It was my own Vietnam. I was like, you guys want to get chased by a crackhead, or you want to live in Franklin? So we moved here. She moved in with her mother, and then 2 days later, I left Nashville.
What was your flight overseas like?
It was rough.
Yeah, where'd you go?
So I was with a different company because I had to stay back. My company went, so I left with a different company, so it was easier. But that one, we went from here. We went to Cherry Point, North Carolina, and then I think we hit up north. I want to say Maine for a little bit, and then we shot over to Ireland. Yeah, did some time there. like a day, or I can't remember exactly how long we were there.
Bangor to Shannon.
Bangor to Shannon, and then we went to Kyrgyzstan.
Yep.
What
a shithole.
Yeah, it was, but it was a great base. It's an Air Force base in the middle of nowhere. They have free food. They have liquor. I'm leaving with something. It was. They couldn't. I remember the place where they had free sandwiches, like in the MWR, and I was just like, like taking them.
Is there a base in Uzbekistan that you stop at on the way home too? Sometimes
we only stopped at Manis. That was the only one we stopped at.
Oh, yeah, I've been
in Kyrgyzstan. Yeah. It was there is a. I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the one.
I know one's not bad, and the other one's a shithole.
I mean, Manis was pretty. Manis was. They had like a base. It was a
tent city though.
Yes, they put us in the tents. Everyone else had nice place. They had like movie theaters and stuff, and then a little while later, I'm in Kandahar airfield, and I land. And my first meal in Afghanistan was at a Burger King.
I was about to say TGI Fridays.
It wasn't open yet.
Oh, okay.
It's Burger King.
Yeah, there's this big place in Kandahar airfield. It's where like the big generals were at the time for all of NATO forces. But there's a place called the Boardwalk, and
that's what it was called. I was trying to think of the name.
It was literally just like an outdoor cafe with like Subway, Burger King, eventually a TGI Fridays, a Tim Hortons.
How was the Burger King?
Huh?
How was the food?
It was great. It was like this is the peak of the military industrial complex. Like just me sitting there eating Burger King in the middle of a place where Burger King can't be eaten. Like it was awesome.
I feel like people on that base had no clue there was a war going on.
They did not. They would.
Yeah. They're like, oh yeah, what do you want to do after work? Go to TGI Fridays? Maybe go bowl?
Yeah.
You know?
They had all that. They had all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
They had booze. They had food. They had movies and everything else. And like meanwhile, we're keeping the wolves at bay, and like they just didn't seem to care.
Boardwalk got bombed a lot though.
Yeah, but did it?
I mean, mortars. I was never there when it happened. I think I was on base when it happened once. Something happened. I can't remember though.
I heard in like 04, 05, it like literally got hit. But by that time, and we're in 08, the base was so big. There was no way they could have they would have to use like a legit like Scud missile or something to get that far inside.
So did you guys use Kandahar as your operating base, or did you push out to down south to Helmand?
No, that was just our initial hold. We were there for a little bit, and
how big is Afghanistan?
Not a clue. Great question.
Jamie, pull that up.
Ben, you got that?
Roughly the size of Texas.
Oh,
that makes sense.
Okay.
Roughly the size of Texas.
So I mean, good size, but not huge.
Mm-hmm. I would have guessed bigger.
I would definitely would
Felt
guess
that way.
bigger. Gosh, you pussies couldn't take it over, huh? Texas.
You know what? He's not wrong. I don't know what
the Russians, okay?
The Russians.
No one can.
Yeah, the Graveyard of Empires. That was funny. Holy shit. Yeah, no, we were just. I don't like veterans anymore. No, it was. I mean, we were there for like 3 weeks. That you're in the elevation and stuff.
In Kandahar.
Yeah, Toby Keith came by. That was pretty cool. To Kandahar Airfield, and they actually did a mortar attack during his concert when he was singing the Taliban song, which was fucking hilarious. So he's like out there singing, and he's like, the Taliban, baby, like he's doing his whole thing. And the air raid sirens go off during this attack, and then we're a bunch of animals. So the Air Force like attaché and like his security like pushes him off stage because they don't want Toby Keith to die in Afghanistan. And we're monsters, so we're throwing stuff at the stage. Like we're like, bring him back, bring him back.
What are you throwing, MRE spoons?
Just whatever we can find. Well, you're right, probably an MRE spoon. And like water bottles and trash and stuff. It was like we rioted, and then they brought him back out underneath the air raid sirens while the Taliban were attacking us, and he finished the Taliban song.
Nice.
Yeah,
for him.
He was such a bro. Yeah.
So then, where'd you push out to?
We pushed out to Garmser in 08.
Garmser.
Yes.
Where's that at?
South Helmand Province. It's in Helmand Province in the south. We were there, and that place is the same as the day the Lord made it. Like, it's such a weird spot. Like, we dropped in at night, like you do, and we just started pushing everywhere. And it took a few hours at first because they didn't know what was going on, and we didn't know where they were, and they didn't know where we were. But like they started like attacking us at various positions and stuff. And it was just weird. We just started pushing
So,
out.
so they just drop you in there, like, hey, just go do something.
Yeah, like literally, there's not much to it, honestly. I'm not even kidding.
Just like a patrol to contact, head north.
Yeah,
and-
like every company had like an area of operations we had
Mm-hmm.
to move to, and we had to hold this area, and so we just started taking over compounds. So we would take over, in Afghanistan, the houses are built like they're courtyard style. So like there's that exterior of your home, but each building, each room is an individual building, but like there's no roof or anything. So like we would just take over those compounds, knock holes in the wall, and sit there for 24, 48 hours and then move to the next spot. Just trying to push through until we got to the limit of advance at the end of the city, and then we consolidated and took an area of operations in the town.
So you left. Then you lived there.
Then we lived there for 7 months
gotcha.
outside, like
So then just creating white space.
yeah, just like literally just owning the battle space after
Gotcha.
that. Like there's a few gnarly times. Like I was behind a wall. This guy, we were holding this space. We've been getting shot at from, I don't know, it was a few hundred meters out, like all day. This guy's just like popping out, and we couldn't get him. And he was so what he was trying to do was he's trying to bait us to cross this open area, because behind the building, we couldn't see it. There's 2 machine gun bunkers like hidden. So if we would have walked right up to it, it just would have torn us in half. And at one point, he steps out of the building, and he's like shooting. One guy's shooting, and the other guy comes out, and he just like leans like this, and he just like puts an RPG up on his shoulder, and he goes, and like it starts coming across this field to us, and I look at it and I go, oh my gosh, it's like the video games. It had a smoke trail and everything. Like that was my first thought. And like as I'm doing that, my squad leader's like pulling us down, and it hits the wall that we're behind, dead center. And like we take all the force. We didn't know the wall was like indestructible.
Those walls are unbelievable.
We had no idea.
They're like a foot thick. You could shoot a 50 cal at them, and nothing goes through them.
We had no. I mean, we were the first ones there. Like we had no idea, and so like we come back and like there's shrapnel and stuff. I'm bleeding from my head because like it hit my helmet, and I'm just like, oh my god, I'm rocked, like absolutely done. And my corpsman comes up to me and he like shakes me, goes, Bell, are you alive? And I go, yes. I was like, yeah. And he goes, don't fall asleep, you'll die. And I was like, okay. And so like I like crawled back to the wall, and I put my gun up and just started going back at it. We held that place for like 24 hours, just
Really?
constantly getting drilled.
Now, did the Brits own the airspace at that point in time?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. Of course you
They
would know
own the airspace?
Yes. So
in the New Delhi area. Yeah.
yeah. So the Afghanistan was divided up, and there's different provinces, and the Marines had Helmand, right? But
That was ours. Yeah.
Sorry.
That was ours. Yeah.
Yep.
Correct.
And then, the Brits had the airspace. Well, I never looked into the legalities of this, but I know the Brits operate on different ROEs than we do, and or something of that nature. So it was real easy to drop bombs, and the Brits would drop bombs all fucking day for you guys.
Yeah, they would. Yeah.
There was one instance, I don't know what province this was. I think it was in Zabul, because that's where I was. We were listening to it on the radio one night, and some guys, there was like 30 or 50 Afghan fighters, and they had, and they're all getting ready to go out on a mission, right? Mm-hmm. And we're watching it via ISR and listening to the radio, and these guys U.S. pilots were trying to drop on them all day long, and they couldn't because there was a kid running around, and they would wait for the kid to go out and then try to get clearance, and it was like this game all night. Then this French pilot checked on station, bombs off the rails in like 30 seconds.
Je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, but I don't know any legalities behind it. I was just listening to it.
No, it was at that time we would like rotate with like New Delhi and stuff. And
What's New Delhi?
That was the position they had.
Okay.
At that time, Fob Dwyer was still a camp. That was a place where we went. It hadn't become like a real base with like Wi-Fi and stuff yet. But we would go to Delhi we went to Delhi for R&R, and we were always communicating with them. They had shorts. I traded a guy a few magazine pouches for some of his shorts.
Like shorts?
Yeah,
Like
they wear shorts.
clothing?
They wear shorts. Yeah, they have camo shorts. It's a pretty cool pattern too.
Who's this again?
Shocker.
Yeah, the British. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They wear high socks with them.
Huh?
They wear high socks with them a lot, don't they?
Yeah, I didn't do that. That was cool. But no, he's like, can I get some pouches? And I was like, what do you got? And he gave me like a few magazines and and some shorts. He's like, "You want these shorts?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude." Like it was just like whatever.
Why didn't you just cut your pants off?
Well, I'm not a Navy SEAL. They have rules for the rest of us. Like people, we can't just be like, well, I can hold my breath forever. Like it doesn't work for all of us, right? No, it's just like something to take, right? It's just like anything. And I had a few other things too that like, they're not, I won't say war trophies, but like I took some nunchucks off a kid because he was like hitting people with them. He would keep running. And I was like, stop doing that.
An Afghani kid?
Yeah. So I took him. I found like some like a piece of like Soviet metal that had a stamp on it, like all sorts of cool stuff. And because like when we pushed out to like our limit of advance in the town, there was this guy that came out and he maybe had 4 fingers on 2 of his hands, and he's like, he looked at me, he goes, "I'm not scared of you, white boy. I was killing Russians before you were born." And I was like, "You're right. You're cool, man." And he was just like ready to crack us because, he wasn't that great at it. Had a few misfires. But it was just a weird place because we always had the battle space like owned, because we had all the stuff from the Mew, and then the Brits were like rocking and rolling out of these Jeeps. They had been fighting counterinsurgency since the 90s in, Ireland and stuff. So like they're not scared of anything, but they were pretty cool. And it was just a really weird experience because all that's happening, and then I don't call home for 90 days until I do call home, and she's watching the news and stuff, and I'm like, it's okay, it's it's not that bad.
90 days.
90 days, yeah.
Were you writing letters?
Yeah, I was writing letters for sure, but I did that, and the chaplain came through, and he had this program where I could read a book, and he would film it. Yeah, and I did a few of those. But
wait, he would just film you reading a book?
So it was me reading a book to my kid.
Okay.
And I can't remember what the program was called, but it was
I remember it.
And he like showed up in the middle of nowhere, and like he's like, "All right, read this book." And I was like, the dog goes bark. It's just weird because when I pop my glasses, I'm so sunburnt that like they left like a permanent mark. And I don't know, it's really weird to think about that deployment in particular because it never really felt like we were in danger, if that makes sense. Yeah. Or we were in danger, but it never felt like we were gonna lose because no one had been there. They were still studying us, and like we had, fire superiority everywhere, and we just owned the battle space where we went.
Any IEDs?
A few,
yeah,
but mainly not with us because we're like in these farming communities. So it was mainly just the logistics convoys that would roll through. 1 or 2, like I saw a jingle truck blow up. It's the they're big semi trucks. They do weird stuff to them. They put like chains around them and like weird flowers and stuff.
They bling everything.
It's
like Mad Max.
Yeah, but it's not practical. That's the thing. It like literally has no application other than like this looks cool, bro.
They'll put like reflective electric tape all over their AKs. Anything for a little bling.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem very wise.
It's definitely not.
We encouraged it. That looks cool, man. You should tell your friends. But yeah, there was just I saw a few of them blow up because we were really at that time just trying to stop the Taliban. That was the shaping of the plan where we were trying to interdict their supply of opium, which then cut their cash, which then cut their ability to fund the war. But that plan hadn't really shaped out yet.
So were you guys burning the opium fields, or what were you doing?
Not technically. We were making sure that the farmers were safe, and we were not allowing them to just sell to anyone. Is kind of what happened.
How do you get involved in that? Because the Taliban's, telling them they gotta plant poppies instead of whatever they were planting before.
We were like, plant corn, and they're like, what?
Yeah.
No. Who am I going to sell it to? And they're like, I don't know, corn people. Like, it was really just us trying to protect the farmers. And when the Taliban would come in and squeeze them and threaten them, we would push them out. But that was what would slowly like build that animosity, because we really didn't do it that much there. But like,
so you guys were just like drug lords.
The Taliban are, for sure. 70% of the world's opium comes from there.
Really?
Yes. It is part of the Golden Triangle. I don't know, like it bleeds over into the other countries around it, but like that's where the world's heroin comes from. Jeez. Right there. And it is everywhere.
Really?
Yeah.
And it's beautiful too. That's what's weird about
poppy
it.
plants are pretty, and then they scrape them with a comb or something. Then it bleeds black.
Why don't you just burn
sap.
them all?
We would in the next deployment, but yeah.
Yep. And we did all sorts of shit to them.
But you would find like balls of like just heroin because they'd scrape it and it goes into a cup, and then they would, wrap it up, and then they would bake it, and then they would throw it on the walls like pizza. So you would, if you walked into a building and it looked like there was three, like, it looks like flour but it's dirt, you need to like be careful in that building because it's a cache most likely. They're storing stuff. It could be set to blow. It could be anything in there. You just need to be like, we need to get out of here.
I never saw any of that. But in the poppy fields, I remember them looking at some of the bulbs where they would scrape and it would be oozing out. And that's raw opium right there.
That's raw. That's coming right out of it because if you crack it, it doesn't work. So you have to milk the poppy. That's what it's called. And they have multiple different ways of doing it, but it's got that tool. You know how it look like little fingers were on
I know
it?
a lot about this.
Well, I am from Memphis. I was like, walk me through it. Muhammad, one more time. One more time. So that's your return on investment. Remember that? Non-addictive? Okay. What? Oh, that was just Walgreens that said that. I'm sorry. Yeah, so what they would do, the main thing they were so good at is one guy would harvest it, one guy would store it, one guy would bake it, another guy would package it. So you'd find these houses everywhere.
Were they moving it to Pakistan, or how were they getting it out?
I don't. Hard to say.
Yeah.
Hard to say. Mm-hmm. If I were to move a product like that out of one country that we weren't invading at the time, that literally we just kind of turned a blind eye to until we sent some of your brethren there in 2011, I'd probably go there,
Yeah.
That's where most likely it left and went to the world. Mm-hmm. Is because they would give us all these classes because we would have to know like what we were looking at because a lot of it they wanted to collect it or different things, and so that stuff really ramped up the second time when we came back home.
How long was that deployment you're talking about?
7 months. They're 7 months.
Okay.
Because we're out like the whole time. 210 days, boots on the ground. You don't come back. The end.
Damn.
Yeah, like you're living outside, and like the army, they'll split it up, but like
Uniforms are great though.
Hey, being cool comes at a cost.
I understand.
Come on. I mean, it's no Cracker Jack uniform, but we're doing the best we can.
Those are cool uniforms.
What, the dress whites?
Yeah, no, the Cracker Jack ones. They're dress blues with the flap on the back.
Is it dress blues? Why do I feel like it's white?
Oh, they were in whites too. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. It comes with like a dog, and you're like, "Hi, I'm Sam the Sailor." Yeah.
That's
No,
golden retriever.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just I wanted to fight, and I got it. And then I came home, and I was like, I'm good. Like I just want to, because it's a game. It's a game of numbers. It's like the more reps you take, the more patrols you do. It doesn't matter how good you are. Like at the end of the day, it's just gambling. And so 210 days, patrols twice a day. The majority of the time, like you're just. You remember the movie Neverending Story when he makes wishes and it turns to stone?
Yep.
That's what it felt like. Like I'm making wishes, I don't know how many more wishes I can make. And so we came back and they're like, guess what, boys? You're going to Iraq. 2009, 2010, Green Zone, Iraq. Whew. Perfect. Mm-hmm. Wi-Fi, gyms, chow halls. They said we would just push out like once a week and shut down a little fob, a little camp, and then retrograde and find another one, shut it down, retrograde, and cool, great. So okay, let's grow this family. And so we decide to, have our second child, and President Obama then goes to West Point in 2009, and an hour before that, they're like, hey, he's going to announce a troop surge in Afghanistan. You need to tell your wives and your families that you're leaving in a week. And I was like, what the fuck is it? A week? And they're like, yeah, that's all we got. And I was just like, okay. Like, it was actually like closer to 3, but like we had a week to get everything done, packed and moved, and it was not enough time. And they had known the whole time. But he goes down there and troop surge, and like that was literally us. And then we would go on to leave in December of 2009. My wife hadn't given birth to our second daughter yet, and we went to, it was Camp Dwyer, but it had become Fob Dwyer, this place that like, had a solar shade and stuff, and now they had Wi-Fi when I got back there a year later, and I was like, bro, this place is crazy. And they were like, yeah, you're going to be here, and then we're going to push to a town called Marja, which is where all of the of the area there, it was the last Taliban stronghold, and that's where all of the opium was coming from that they were really harvesting down there. There was marijuana and poppy as far as the eye could see.
Really?
It was gnarly.
A lot of marijuana.
Really?
A lot of poppy.
Lot. That's the real Hindu Kush. That's what they're talking about. Like, so yeah, we did that.
So, how is that the point you got hurt on?
Well, the first one I got hurt and kicked back, but I was just out for like a few days. But yeah, that was the RPG stuff, and I'd actually prior to that RPG event, I had we were moving and took fire, and I fell down a hole, and I got medevaced. Like I literally got knocked out. So in like a month, I had like 3 concussions, like back to back, and that was when my doc was like, "If you fall asleep, you'll die." That was his medical training to me, but it was nothing too bad. I was really lucky, and I'm grateful for it.
And you did the whole second deployment?
Did the whole second tour, yeah. That was significantly harder. That was way harder.
Why is that?
I mean, they knew we were coming and they were good. By that time, they had learned most of our tactics and stuff, and they were well aware of like what we did, and like it wasn't, there's contact patrols, which is like we'll make a plan in case we see contact, but we made combat patrol plans. It's like when we get in contact, not if, but when. And so, like, literally every day you would go out, and they were trying to mow you in half. Complex ambushes, the whole thing.
So, backing up to, like, a mission plan, like, hey, we're going to go patrol here and take over this village, so on and so forth. Clear, hold, build.
Yeah,
right?
Clear, hold, build, chub, yeah.
And then come back before the sun came up, or was this during the day?
I mean, basically, so we did the insert into Marja. Yeah. They said it was the largest helo-borne assault since Vietnam. There was literally AA guns like going off when we were coming in, which most helicopters have like no real countermeasures. They're just troop carriers. So you're like, all right, cool. Really hope this isn't the way it goes down.
How many helicopters were there?
A battalion worth. I mean,
how many people in a battalion?
So 32 a platoon, 4 platoons to a company, and then 4 companies: Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, weapons. So
500, 600.
Yeah, just dudes everywhere.
Yeah,
just everywhere, and so
512.
It's a lot. It's a lot to like land in one spot at one time. And we had done like probing missions prior to that. We were like trying to find a way like on the ground to avoid landing in the center of the town, but there was no way we could do it. And so we landed in the center and we just started pushing out.
Did you guys do pre-assault fires?
Yes, there was like a bunch of teams that like made a raid and stuff that had come in, and I can't remember who it was. They had said it was a bunch of SEALs, but like everybody, I don't know. It could have been a Green Berets or just a regular soft unit, but they had done some hard hits there and like wiped out this part of this bazaar, which was great because there's IEDs everywhere, and I turned left and there was nothing. So I was like, all right, we don't have to worry about that. So like they had done some softening stuff and like done a few missions with air, fixed and rotary, but for the most part, we weren't sure where anybody was. So we landed in the center of the town and we pushed east, I think it was originally, but then we consolidated and shifted around. But or was it west? I can't remember. Doesn't matter. But we just started pushing through the town until we got to the end of it again, and then we set up from there. But it was every single day. It was wild. I'd never seen anything like cars would just like show up and dudes would unload. Like in Toyota Corollas, if I see a Corolla, that's it. That's a wrap. Toyota doesn't know this, but they're sponsoring Global War on Terror. Like the amount of Corollas and Hiluxes I have put bullets through is insane. But
Hilux is great vehicles.
It's a great vehicle. I just think they don't pay attention when they're like, dude, we have a lot of Hiluxes shipping Afghan. Someone knows. But yeah, it was every day. Every single day. Like you'd like turn a corner and then like, crossing machine gun fire would just like show up and you're like, oh my God.
Bunch of guys get hurt on that one or no?
A lot.
Really? Damn, that's too bad.
We lost a lot of guys. We lost a guy in my platoon.
Calm down.
No, yeah, we lost a guy in my platoon. Nobody did anything wrong, and at that time they were really fighting so hard to stop the cultivation of opioids, of poppy into opioids to make drugs to fund the war. That like we were going out and taking out every single like drug dealer that we could around.
Did you guys have DEA agents with you?
We did, yeah. Bunch of guys named like Frank and Jeff, and I was like, whatever, dude. It's funny to see like grown men sitting next to me being like, what do we do, Zach? I'm like, try not to die. Because like by that time I was in charge of, I had a fire team, but after we lost the Marine in my platoon, and the whole company had taken so many like casualties and towards the end that they rearranged the whole company, and they're like, hey, we need a new squad leader, and I was like, I'll do it. And so I spent, so that was May, so the May, June, July, I finished up the deployment at that point because we were about halfway through with my 15 Marines. Well, it was like 12 to 15, but it switched a few times, and a dozen A&A soldiers. So I went from like being in charge of 4 people to 3 times that.
Did you guys have to bring partner force with you everywhere?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. They were exactly the way you think they were. They didn't want to go in first. They didn't like anybody. They hated the locals there because they're so tribal, Afghanistan is, so they would I'm like, dude, you guys are all in the same country. And I remember one guy was like, what's a country? And I was like, oh, dude, this is not going to go great.
What's up, guys? Sam Mackey here. I want to tell you about today's sponsor, Spartan Forge. Spartan Forge has no doubt made me a more effective and efficient hunter. Spartan Forge was founded by former U.S. Special Operations Intelligence Officer Bill Thompson, who took his 21 years of military experience fighting the global war on terror and applied his learnings to his true love, whitetail hunting. My favorite feature on the Spartan Forge app is the LiDAR for finding draws and funnels. It also has an AI deer movement prediction tool, so you know when and where to go. It has historical wind plots for selecting stand locations, and Cyber Scout for just about anything else I need to know. Spartan Forge, a veteran-owned and operated American mapping and scouting company. Use promo code OUTSIDER20 to save 20% on a premium membership to Spartan Forge. That's OUTSIDER20, OUTSIDER20. This episode is brought to you by Code Blue Scents. Code Blue's famous from one deer to one bottle collection process is a breakthrough technique that guarantees the certified deer urine comes from a single deer rather than several, producing the purest, most potent scents. Head over to codebluescents.com and check out the Rope-A-Dope Kit. The weather-resistant rope soaks up rack rub gel, providing a lasting scent to stimulate rub activity on licking branches by mimicking a buck's forehead and preorbital gland scent. And also, check out the Gravedigger Scrape Mate Dripper. This versatile Scrape Mate Dripper can be used all season long. The adjustable dripper bag contains pure urine from a single buck enhanced with tarsal gland scent. Perfect for hanging over scrapes to keep them fresh or creating a scent trail as you walk to your hunting location. Visit www.codebluescents.com and use promo code OUTSIDER15, that is OUTSIDER15, to receive 15% off all Code Blue products. Multiple use is okay, cannot be combined with other promotions. Did you do another deployment after that?
No, I mean, so after that, we were there. I had to FaceTime. Skype is what I use. I had to Skype to see my daughter after she was born.
Skype, remember that?
And,
Remember Skype?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, all right, so I'll tell this story because it's lighthearted. But prior to the mission launch, we were doing a bunch of probing the security sector, like I said, and we were at this base, and my squad leader, Ryan, to pick on me, assigned a French reporter and a photographer to me. He's like, it's your job to keep him alive. And photographers and journalists are notoriously the worst to take care of because, they wear a vest and they feel bulletproof, but they don't have a gun, and they're like there to get a story and, shape the mainstream media. I'm just kidding. No, but they're there to
create the narrative.
Yeah. You guys get it. No, they're there to tell a story. So that's their main concern, but they have no real situational awareness.
Yeah.
They're either really good, like this guy Ben I know who worked at Vice, who was great. He even covered a lot of stuff there. Or they're bad, and these guys are bad. And the second we go out, this guy drops. I mean, he drops. Contact left, and we're in the middle of a field, and I'm like, bro, we got to move. And he's like, no, they're shooting at us. And I was like, I know, we got to move. We can't stay here. We're going to die. And he's like, no, I'm scared. And I was like, all right, Jock, we got to go. And I grab him by the back of his flak. We move back to cover, and then it's like that the whole time. He's just frozen with fear in the middle of God's most austere environment.
Were they wearing hard plates? Or
Yeah.
Okay.
It was like they didn't know what they were doing that day. It was kind of crazy looking back on it. And we get back to the base, and he goes up to me. He's like, "You saved my life. If you ever need anything from me or the Associated Press, you let me know." And I was like, Hey, man, that's a good point. So, my daughter, I'm trying to find out if she was born. We're a few days past her due date now. My wife's due date now. Pregnancy was hard and it was stressful, and I'd really love to borrow your cell phone that you most likely have and call home. And he's like, oh, regretfully, I do not have a cell phone. I go, you don't have a cell phone? He's like, we. And I go, okay. The Associated Press, they just sent you out here without a cell phone? He's like, yeah, these weird, you know? I was like, okay, Jock, whatever his name was. Here's the deal. I know you got a cell phone.
Yeah.
You just promised me you'd give me whatever you want because I just saved your life.
Yeah.
You're going to give me a cell phone, or I'm going to take you back out there and I'm going to leave you. No one's going to stop me. No one's going to find you. And by this time, like all my Marines, because they had like tried to contact people have been trying to find out like how my daughter was doing, how my family was doing. So they're like behind me, like cracking knuckles, like, come on, Frenchie, we'll throw you right over the wall. And he looks at me and he looks over my shoulder and he looks back at me and he opens up his flak and he goes, America's country code is 01. And I go, you're goddamn right it is. So I looked and I called her and I was like, hey, never call this number again. It's a French reporter's cell phone, but how are you? And she told me that my daughter had been born. And I was like, I'll call home soon. I love you, and I'll see you soon. Click, and that was the moment I was like, I won't do this anymore.
Yeah.
That was the exact like moment it locked in. You know, looking back on it, if I'd had kids later, I don't know, but just like I was like, this isn't worth this forever. Especially, you know, 'cause most people don't know this. When you're in a combat arms, especially, the way you get promoted, the way you move up in your career is you deploy. So you got to do the work in order to be successful in your career, and that means leaving your family. And I was like, the next...
How old were you at that time?
21, 22. Yeah. And I was like...
Dang, you had 2 kids already?
Yeah, man.
Memphis.
Yeah. Yeah. We all have our talents. No, it was... I mean... We had never planned my first daughter, and then like you know it happened, and then so it's like a clock starts, and so you want want them to stay close. You don't want to I didn't want to be like deep into my 60s or whatever, and like I got an 18, a 12, and a 2, which is it's fine. It's just like I
sounds miserable.
I mean, when you have to stretch to sit in the kindergarten chairs for orientation, that's when it'd be like, what am I doing? Yeah. But I was like, I got to get out. I can't do this. And so that was when we made the decision to move back here. And I was like, well, we're moving back to Tennessee, and I want to make a life here.
So, what got you into Veteran with a Sign? How did all that start? What'd you do after you got home and got out?
So when I first got home, I couldn't get a job anywhere, ever. And the only place I could get a job was at Vanderbilt Children's Hospital as a medical receptionist on the night shift.
Really?
I tried for security. No one cared.
Yeah.
Like it was gnarly. And so what I would do is I would go to school during the day at MTSU, sleep in my car, work out, drive from Murfreesboro to Vanderbilt, work the night shift, do my homework, and then Tuesday morning at 7, my day was done. I did that for 3 years.
Shit.
Yeah. And it was rough. It was very rough, but gave me the ability, because I needed a certain amount of like taxable income to get a home, and I was like, I need this, I need that, and so I did that. And then
what were you studying?
At that time, I was looking at doing like flight nursing is what I wanted to do, but I didn't know. No one in my family's ever gone to college, so I had no like understanding of that 1.67 was haunting me.
Yep.
And so when I went to apply for nursing school, I did good on the
perfect size for a flight nurse.
I mean, whatever, I'll take it. Hero. But like I was like, I have a good interview. I have a good, I can't remember what the test is that they take. Whatever that test. But my GPA was only 3.0 because I was doing great in school then, but I had that 1.67. Yeah. I didn't know you could retake class. None of that. No one, my old man was telling me stuff like, if you take a catalytic converter, there's a lot of rare minerals in there and you can sell it. Like, that's what we would talk about at home. We weren't talking about, well, son, college is where you learn who you are and how to expand your mind. Like, it's not things we're talking about. And, I started to shift, and I was like looking at working with veterans, and I started working in like nonprofits and stuff. And then I found out about Lipscomb through a friend of mine, and Charlie Daniels had this scholarship at the time. And I met him, and I met his nonprofit team, and I got accepted, and I started going there, and just started like working with veterans and working in nonprofit and private healthcare for a while until 2020. I was just kind of bored in my office at home, and I don't know, everyone was doing something. I was like, what if I made like memes or something? Like, what if I made like a project? Because I'd always liked writing, and at that time I'd written for like Fox News, Huffington Post, and like a few articles in the New York Times, and I was like, what if I just try and like do
what were those articles about?
Various stuff. I talked about my friends, my time in service. They had a thing called the At War blog. The one that did the most, that was the most well received and had the greatest impact was there's a book I found in the library, and it was called The Marines in Afghanistan. And remember Choose Your Own Adventure books? Mm-hmm. Excuse me, it was that. And you got to this point where you are Corporal so-and-so, you're avoiding enemy snipers, or what you believe to be enemy snipers, which is not how you know the snipers in the area. This is how you know. Whoa, sniper! Like not because you can see them, right? Yeah. So, and it's like, turn left, engage snipers. Turn right, hide from them. Mm-hmm. Well, if you turn left and engage the snipers, you end up shooting 2 innocent civilians and committing a war crime, which is a real bummer for a children's book. And so I pitched that to my editor, and I pitched him 10 ideas, and I was so nervous. And then he was like, "That's your story." And I was like, "That's my story? A children's book?" And he's like, "That's your story." And I was like, "Okay." He's won Pulitzer Prizes. I was like, can't really argue with this guy. And I did. And then, I'd even emailed the publisher, and I was like, "Hey, my name's Zachary Bell, writing from the New York Times. Would you like to make a comment about this?" And they didn't even open up the thing. And then a week after it came out, the publisher issued a full retraction. They took the book off the shelves and everything, because it was like, does Timmy commit war crime? Does he go to Leavenworth, or will he be moved to Russia? It was a crazy book to give kids. And I was like, this isn't great. Like, there shouldn't be options of, it should be like, do you go left and cross the mud, or do you go right and cross the field? Yeah. And they pulled everything off the shelves after that. And like, his name's CJ Chivers, and he called me and he's like, "I'm proud of you." And like, I was like, "All right, this is pretty good." And so that was like the one moment where I was like, dude, there's something to this. Like, journalism at its finest, like storytelling and like actually reporting, actually talking about like unbiased truth and narrative. I think we've lost a lot of that in this day and age because clickbait and everything. But we really are missing the time of like, I wasn't doing it, but like the power of like telling a story and just telling a story without a spin to it, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I kind of wanted to do more of that, like tell more stories. And so I literally just like wrote on cardboard and asked the young lady who used to cut my hair to take a photo of me. And that was literally it.
That was the start of Veteran with a Sign?
That was it. That was the start of my Instagram page, yeah. Because and my wife was like, please don't do this. Which historically through my life, whenever she's been like, don't do this, that's when I'm like,
double down,
because something's gonna happen. Yeah, one way or another, something's gonna happen. And it's the internet. The first few posts were pretty rough. Lot of dudes talking about my body. lot of dudes talking about my tattoos. And then I just hang on one second. I gotta take some
hymns.
No, they're neuromints. They're like energy and focus and L-theanine and stuff.
Have one?
Yeah, sure, man. Caffeine, help yourself.
Let me see it.
No. Get those, nootropics. I'm really big into that. Just slide it out. There you go. Bada bing.
Bigger than I thought they'd be.
That's what she said. I'm just kidding. No, she didn't.
So, what's the purpose of Veteran with a Sign?
The idea I had initially was that I can't make it about me. It has to be about like a character, right? So I really like the idea of like a person. And the person he refers to himself as like warfighter. Mm-hmm. It's not me. It's like someone who's like turned all the way up. Like it's kind of like the bro version of me.
Yeah.
Because like when I got out, I had a bunch of green shirts, and I was like, what do I do with this? And I was like, I'll just wear this to the gym. And so every year, I hold up them when they're really thin. I throw them away, and I buy some more green shirts, and I buy some black shorts, and that's my gym clothes. It's one less thing to worry about. Boom. Okay, what else would this guy wear? He'd wear his hat backwards, and he'd wear sunglasses. Like,
have a perfect high and tight everywhere he goes.
We're not talking about that. I do not have a high and tight,
in regs. Let's see it.
No.
Let's see it there, shipmate. Oh, I mean, when did you get it cut? Sunday?
Can I be honest? My teeth hurt when he called me shipmate.
You spent more time on the ship than I have.
I know. That's interesting, actually. That's crazy. But like, it's just this guy who's like, he's like a veteran dude, and he's like talking about stuff. So I kind of leaned into this character and this idea that like that's who this person would be, and he would say stuff. And the first month was really rough. And then the second month was rough, and then the third month was the worst. I was like, I might get rid of this. Nobody gets the point. They're like, this guy wears the same thing every day. Like, and it's like 60 posts. And I'm like, yeah, that's the point. Like, I can't believe you get to vote. Like, it's crazy. And then there was this captain who was relieved of duty. His name's Captain Crozier. And he had leaked information to one of the news outlets.
Marine Corps captain?
No, he was in the Navy. He was in charge of a vessel. Mm-hmm. Maybe his commander. I can't remember exactly. I want to say it's Captain Crozier. But his ship was just rampant with COVID. And he was like, hey, I need support to get these kids medicine and things they need to help my sailors. This is my job. And he didn't feel the Navy was properly supporting his request, is how I can word it, the best way I can word it. And so he then leaked all this stuff to a news outlet. They published it, and they relieved him of his command, which is a big deal. It's like losing a base. But this video was filmed of him, and they're like, Captain Crozier. And the boat's shaking as he departs. Like, because they're like all cheering him on as he leaves, like the whole thing, the entire vessel. And so as I was walking out the house, I told my wife, I was like, will you take this photo of me? I think this might be something. And she's like, yeah, sure. And just like click. And I went to the gym. And by the time what
was the photo?
Just me saying, bring back Captain Crozier.
On your sign?
Just literally walking out of the house. Like, it was in the entryway of my house. I was like, I'll do this. That's it. It's just me being like, That's it. Art, he gets it. Yeah. Two artisans. And and I just like ran with it. And I didn't really pay attention to my phone. I don't have notifications on anything except my text and my phone. Like, everything else is too much. It's really bad for you. And I didn't check it for like a day. And I came back to it and I opened it up and I was just like, well, that's a lot. And I just kept refreshing it and it kept like maxing out the notifications. And I was like, what is going on? Yeah. And I just caught this vein and I just started, it just took off after that. Because then I started doing stuff and then I started getting a little more riskier. My buddy, Sean Matson.
Yeah, very well.
He was like, make this Navy SEAL joke. And I was like, Sean, I'm not going to make a Navy SEAL joke. And he's like, do it. Say I did it. And I was like, okay. And then I made this Navy SEAL joke. 80% of the Navy SEALs were like, that's funny. This one dude was like, how dare you disgrace.
What was the joke?
It was something about like wearing gaiters doesn't make you a Navy SEAL, but writing a book does. And someone's like, how dare you talk about my brothers like that? And then it was him and Sean arguing like, dude, chill. I told him to do it. And he's like, you're a disgrace too. And he's like, you suck. And he's like, what class were you? And it was like 20 comments of them just being like, guys, y'all could have texted. But it just, I just kind of make like inside jokes. I try to talk about like topics I think are funny, universal things. Mental health's the main thing I've tried to like dismantle the like barriers around that and get like more people to be like, it's okay to get help. It's okay to talk about being stressed and all the different things that like I feel will have a larger application towards society. And then like today I'm going to make a thing about Halloween. I'll do that because like the secret is to make something that people can share and be like, that's how I feel. That's something I connect with. This is Music Monday. This is what I'm listening to here on Outsider. This is, that's how, if you can make something that people go, I identify with this, that's where growth comes from. And then videos of me like responding to stuff. Like, I'll tell you all this because I don't know when this will come out, but I made this video, this kid, so it's these girls and they're like filming themselves and, this Marine in the background goes, I'm serving, but you two are serving too. And the video pans to them. And it's just this guy trying to talk to these two girls and his friend. And they're both in Marine Corps uniforms. He messaged me this morning. He goes, "Hey man, thanks." And I was like, "This is great. This kid like shot his shot. I hope it worked out for him. Good luck, King." The message this morning goes, "Thanks for the video, sir. I really appreciate it. That's me." And I left with both their numbers and both of their social media. so like I was like, "I'm proud of you." Like that's the way to do it. So it's just fun stuff now.
What nonprofits are you associated with or helping out with?
I really like the boot campaign a lot.
Yep, likewise.
I love them. They've helped me for years. You know, John Hughes really put me on there when I was rough, and he was, hitting me in the head with the Bible when I needed it the most and some guidance because it was.
Did you go through their process?
I did
program?
part of it, but then COVID happened and a few other things happened. Like because I went through the Cooper Clinic, I did that. I did some stuff there. They told me I couldn't eat red meat every day. Apparently, it's bad for you to eat it 4 meals a day.
Fake news.
It's
Debatable.
No, I wasn't in. At the time I was working at corporate America. I was working at a healthcare company in town. I want to name it, but they're the biggest one in the world. You can guess from there. Yep. But I'm just an outside dog, and I was not made for it. And I have tattoos and stuff at a time where you couldn't have that. Yeah. You can now, but a few years ago, people would be like, "Why do you have that?" And I'd be like, because I'm cool. I don't. It was, they're older, and like I'm using stuff like Google Docs, and they're like, "Whoa, we use pen and paper," and I'm like, "The world moves quicker," and it was tough, and I just didn't fit in. They helped me through many different tough times. The Headstrong Project, Semper Fi Fund, Emergency Assistance, Vets, the psychedelic treatment organization. I did some therapy down in Mexico.
Did you? How was that?
Oh, life-changing.
Really?
Life-changing.
So
how long ago?
21 or 22, I can't remember, but I think it was 20.
How long what was that process?
Oh, brother, it was gnarly. So, I have to say this too. Jared Taylor from Black Rifle went, and he was like, "I think you should do this." And he like pops up in my life at the craziest moment. And he's like, September 2nd, he's like, "Hey, you'll be down there in October." And I was like, "Okay." I didn't think anything else of it. Jump cut, I'm down there in October. Yeah. You go down there. We went into San Diego. Had to do some work on the front end. No meat and certain things going into it. You got to be sober for X amount of time, blah, blah, blah. Yep. But we go down there and we do this Ibogaine treatment. And so Ibogaine is not allowed in America. I don't know the exact reason, but it is used for opioid cessation. So people who can't kick opioids addiction or any form of addiction, they take Ibogaine, gone. Done. It cleans the receptors in your brain that connect to that. Okay. And so we go in there, they weigh us, they drug test us, they hook us up to EKGs. It's me and a few of my friends there. One guy was Derek. He's a power lifter who was injured in the Army. He like literally takes off his leg. He's like, he's done psychedelics before. He's like, "I won't need this anymore." And I was like, "Okay." Takes off his prosthetic leg, and so we just take the Ibogaine, and for the next 12 hours, you're just pushing. Like, you're seeing all sorts of different stuff. How in depth do you want me to go into? I can go pretty in depth.
What do you want?
So the Ibogaine is so psychedelics are like this. They say ayahuasca is like your grandmother and Ibogaine's like your grandfather, right? One is kind and gentler, but Papaw is going to set you straight. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what I needed, just the hand of that to slap me across the face. And it really I just like woke up, and at one point I'm not sure if it's working, because like all psychedelics, you're like, is this working? Is this happening? You're like, am I doing drugs? You know? And I didn't know it, but it felt like a hand just pushed me in the darkness. And then I could see like this picture of my family. It's a photo I've taken of my daughters and my wife, and it's kind of like unclear, but I know what it is. And like as it gets closer to me, the more I start to purge things that are bad. And I hadn't eaten since 12, and so there's nothing in my stomach. And they say the stuff you purge is a physical manifestation of trauma. It's like literally I'm just like blowing out.
Were you puking?
Yeah, but it was beyond puke. It was there was nothing there. Yeah, it felt like tar, like oil leaving me.
Really?
Yeah.
Were you shitting at all?
No, that's ayahuasca.
Okay.
I wasn't in that mood. I was. It was just all coming out of me. Ayahuasca, they like have rules and stuff. Like you have to do that, but it's just me just blowing out chunks left and right, and like good memories, bad memories. I spend time with them. This becomes more clear, and then it happens until I just literally pass out, and then I wake up the next morning. The nurse is there. She like helps me get to the bathroom and takes off the leads and stuff, and I'm just like touching this wall.
So you're still high.
I'm exhausted is what it is. Okay. Because it's wiped through your whole brain.
Yep.
And so your brain is brand new, so it's not that you're high, but like it's like left foot go, left foot's not going. It's like it's like you have to recut grooves into in pavement. Right foot go. And I slowly came downstairs and there's a team guy, a guy named Punky. I don't know. I'll tell you his real name later. But he's like, "How are you, little brother?" And I was like, "I would really like omelet and pancakes." He goes, "I'll make you an omelet and some pancakes." Because you haven't eaten, you're purging, and he makes this big breakfast for everyone. And then I ate that and went to sleep on a balcony in Mexico, in Tijuana. And then we waited a day, and everyone wakes up, and they push through, and then we do DMT the next day.
Is that the ayahuasca?
No, DMT is, I can't remember what it stands for, but it's the drug that gets released when you die.
Okay.
And so we do that. And
how long does that last?
Depends on your perspective of time.
Yeah.
It's a 15, so it's like a half dose, a full dose, and then another full dose, and then you can go heavier if you want, but a third full dose. But it's vaporized, so you take in the DMT, and then the second, as far as like taking these types of things.
So you say it's vaporized, and you take it in, so you have a breathing apparatus on? Or?
Someone lights it. It's like
okay, gotcha.
Like it's vapor like that. But the second it hits the back of your head, like you're done, because they're like count to 10. You got the two facilitators and like count to 10 and you're like 10, 9, 8, 7, you're just 6, like stuff starts happening to you instantly. And before they even got to 1, I could feel my body like starting to just relax. And then they set me down on pillows. And then like I went to the eternal. I went to where everything is. It's crazy stuff. It's crazy, crazy stuff. And I saw everything I needed to see. There was this big fire. There's this big fire. And every time I went down, I got closer and closer to the fire. I was like, what is this fire? And the fire felt like hurt and pain and just bad. But as I got closer to it, I got there, and then I got to it, and then I just started to push it. But when I got closer to it, after I'd been there for a minute, I started to put it out. And so I'd done this like 3 different times, and it feels like an eternity each time you're doing it, but it's only 15-minute sessions here. And I come back up, and Punky's there, and he gives me fruit, and he goes, "What'd you see?" And I go, "I saw a fire, and there's a fire, and I'm putting out the fire. And I don't know why, but I keep putting out the fire." I'm like, "You see it? There's smoke over there." And he goes, "Tell me about the smoke." And I just keep telling him this stuff. And then right as he's done talking, like a little bit of smoke goes up in the air, and he goes, "I think you put out the fire." And it's just like me, my understanding of it is just me like breaking these like, generational curses of like addiction and poverty in my family and stuff. Cause like I felt a lot of stuff down there, and I've been different ever since. And what's crazy too about DMT is it's such a fast acting drug. It's hard to understand it, but they've done one study so far, and it was like in Colombia. This guy named Graham Hancock talks about it. He's on Rogan all the time. But they gave people long IV drips of it, so they're underneath the medicine for like 60 minutes at a time. People don't know anything about each other, nothing in common whatsoever. They bring them out. Where were you? What did you see? What did it look like? They all wrote the exact same thing. They all went to the same place.
Interesting. So after the DMT, did you do ayahuasca?
No, I will eventually.
Yeah. Okay.
But DMT is in ayahuasca, so you don't have to do that. But in this thing in particular, it's kind of like a cleaning of your soul. Is probably the best way to describe it.
This is when in Tijuana.
Yeah. Yeah, it was without a doubt one of the most life-changing things that's ever happened to me.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
What organizations put these
Marcus
treatments
Capone
on?
puts it on. The Navy SEAL, Marcus, him and his wife put it on because he had been fighting suicidal ideation for years, and Jared's on the board, and him and I can't remember his name now. Nick, Navy SEAL, was a part of Protect.
Oh yeah, I'll think of his name in a second.
Yeah, but Nick was like, "Hey, brother," he's so nice. The guy who did more pull-ups than anyone, and he's like, "You should go," and I'm like, "I don't know," and like it literally it changed. All right, so for me, the thing that made me best at being in the military was the thing that made me the worst at being a person, which was my ability to compartmentalize and carry trauma and do what I had to do, was hurting my ability to connect to my wife, my daughters, and just people in general.
Yeah.
And like I was just kind of shut off and calloused, jaded. I don't know the right word, but and I would always try to do things to like run and hide from that, and it made me not able to like understand things that are happening. Jump cut. I now watch Moana with my daughters, and I'm like, it's just a daughter trying to prove to her dad she loves him. You know, like they're connected, and I'm like bawling because like I'm more of like who I should be as opposed to what I was before. Because PTSD, in my opinion, the best way to describe it is it's when you come to the realization that the memory of who you were is better than the reality that you are. It's almost impossible not to hate yourself. And so when you think about who you were before the trauma, before the pain, before the whatever it is, you're like, oh man, that sucks. I was so different. I was like better, smarter, happier, whatever it is. And then you're afterwards and you're like, well, how do I fix that? And there's not really a path forward for that, and you have to find that. But without a doubt, I mean, the stuff they're doing with psychedelic medicine has been life-changing for so many different people, especially people with brain injuries and stuff. Like, I mean, it's just, I don't know anyone who's had a bad experience. And I've sent a few of my friends down there. It's been incredible to see where they are on the other side of it.
Really?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's called Vets.
Okay. Check it out. Vets, I'm going to.
You should do it.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's like,
You want to go together?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
that's easy. I can call Nick.
Okay.
Yeah. He'll be like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, they do it a little easier than I did. Like I did it like a truncated version, like
Yeah.
day to day to day, and they have like sweat lodges and stuff. And it's like anything else, you get what you put into it. But I can't express like how life changing it was for me and anyone who's done it. So
Good. Well, what else you got? Anything you want to push? Let us know where you can
I've got
find
the
you.
After Action podcast. Jay said he would do an episode after you. He said he would come on. I think
I'll do it.
that's what he said. Yep. Don't edit that, Jamie. No, it's Sam came on. It's kind of like me trying to expand the veteran military world because, like I make these memes, I'll do these videos, and people wanted more, and like they're constantly saying you should do like. The constant theme was like people wanted to know more about other stuff or other people in this world I am, and I feel like what I do now, or what I like to think that I do, is fun storytelling because like military stuff's like whatever, you know. Checkpoint 1357. It's only so many times you can say like I went to war, came back. Like I don't know, it just gets old. And so I like want to tell stories about people and like highlight the things that we have in common, I suppose the things that are different, and like just connect. You know what I mean?
Well, you got a great platform. I was on your podcast and I had a great time. That was a great
Yeah, it
conversation.
was. You made fun of me the whole time. Yeah, the clips are just you bodying me.
I wish we did this one first so I had more ammunition.
I don't. I'm glad this worked out in the way it worked out. No, this is great. But yeah, it's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the places. So yeah.
Well, check them out. I appreciate you coming on, my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you all.
Yes, sir. All right. That's a wrap.